So the main thing we want to talk about today, originally we were thinking it was going to be more focused on some tactics and strategies that we use every day in our business, more on the personalized approach to communication and messaging. And we realized, you know what, that all stems back to our core philosophy. Every conversation we have, when we start with tactics or we start with one particular strategy, it filters its way back just to our general approach to how to craft that. And that's what we'd rather leave you with today, is an understanding of why it's so powerful to understand who you're talking to and how to speak to them incredibly effectively. So I want to tell you a little story about a friend of mine, real friend, not like a great for a workshop story kind of friend. So he was traveling down to Portland Raceway with his family from Seattle. He was driving down, he had a big trailer, his truck, his family, everybody was heading down, and he was a few hundred miles into the trip and blew out a tire, which is not a great start, obviously, when you have a trailer and it's really hard to get around with that. He ended up, it was right next to a Les Schwab, luckily. He had no preference for any brand, he just needed the problem solved, right? That's how a lot of people enter any business, is I have a problem, solve it, figure it out. So he called Les Schwab, they came out and no problem whatsoever, took care of it, fixed the flat for free, didn't even charge him, which was like kind of unexpected, obviously, that's how they make their money. But they just made it this fantastic experience for him, and he was just like blown away at how helpful they were, when obviously the expectation wasn't even for them to go out of their way whatsoever. So he already had like this really good feeling about it, but he just wanted to get back on his way with his family. On the way back from the trip, he hit a massive pothole and actually busted his wheel. Not just popped the tire, but like busted his wheel. And this is like multiple thousands of dollars, like a big, big problem. Who do you think he called the second he had that problem? Les Schwab, right? So he's like, all right, well, they just took great care of me. Let's give them another chance, obviously. Not only did they come out and take care of him, but they didn't have the wheel in stock they needed. So they just sent somebody immediately. It was like 100 miles to the nearest place to actually get the part that, not 100 miles, sorry. It was like an hour or more to go get that part that they needed. But they gave him like one of their personal cars. They didn't have a rental car. They gave him a personal car, and they were like, hey, there's a great restaurant down the street. We'll have this done in a couple hours. Here's like a voucher for you and your family. And just went above and beyond for him. How many people think that a company like Les Schwab is like what you think of as this like amazing, go above and beyond kind of brand? That's probably not what comes to mind, right? Does anybody know what Les Schwab's motto is, though? Tires. We got them. Yeah. Anybody want to take a guess of what you think the motto might be?
Go above and beyond.
Doing the right thing since 1952. Did they live up to it? Yeah. He didn't even know that that was the brand promise, but all the staff did. And obviously the company gave them leeway to say, when you have the opportunity to do this, do it. There's no way that it was just some rogue coincidence that at both places you had this amazing experience. What I didn't mention is that Dan is also a race car driver, and he owns multiple motorsports vehicles, and this guy spends like $20,000 a year on tires. They didn't know that. They just got a customer that's probably over the course of his life going to be worth $50,000, $100,000. It did not cost them that much to earn that. And the importance of this and what they did is they positioned themselves not as a commodity, just a place you go when you need tires, but now they earned his respect and his loyalty because they positioned it as a brand. Nobody thinks of tires and branding. They think commodity. But that just shows you have the opportunity, no matter what you're selling, no matter what your market is. There's no face to Les Schwab. There's no personal brand. There's no relatable entry point for that. But the way they treat their customers is. They humanized the brand. So now he doesn't look at them as just tires. He looks at Les Schwab as the people that came and took him out of a really shitty spot that he was in and made it a seamless experience so that his vacation wasn't ruined. There's so much that goes into this that you are in control of. It doesn't matter what market you're in. We hear people all the time that think like, well, what they sell is boring, or what they sell is a commodity, or it's something that you can't go above and beyond. Yes, you can. There's nothing that you can't go above and beyond. And the experience is going to be the thing that separates absolutely every business over the next 10 years plus. We're in a space now where the little guys can actually compete with the big guys because you can double down on the experience. Speaking of which, when you look at typical commodity brands. It's transactional. And it's not that commodity brands don't work, they do. But the problem is, as soon as a cheaper or better option comes along, that's where you're going. If Les Schwab would have just given him the tire, that was it, on your merry way, and then he busted that wheel and there was another place equally close by and they had a better deal on it, he would have just got the better deal. There's no loyalty when it's just a commodity, other than you're the cheapest option. Compare that, of course, to a brand. It's a relationship. You're not competing on price anymore. You don't have to. Now, it's trust and it's relationships. The strongest relationship will win out. I guarantee that you have brands like this that you engage with all the time. There's every email they send, you read it. Every time they've got a promotion, you're just on board with it. You're excited about it. You tell people about it. Rarely do you tell people about commodity brands. And if you do, it's not about the brand. It's, man, I got this great deal on this thing. That's it. If there's a better deal elsewhere, that's where you're going to send them. So what you find is when you take brands that we know and love, or brands that we just use all the time, you start to see these differences. Is Amazon successful? Obviously. But does anybody walk around with an Amazon t-shirt who doesn't work there? No, because you go there because it's best selection, best price, super convenient. If Wamazon came out tomorrow and was like, we got fucking better deals and it's faster shipping, you'd be like, I'm going fucking Wamazon. Like, you would immediately change. That's the point, right? But they win because they nail it on the commodity side. And it would be really awkward if Amazon tried to all of a sudden be a personal brand. And they're like, come on, check out Prime Shipping, I'm Mascot. It wouldn't make any sense. But if you look at Apple, which literally my first iPhone ever, by the way, you got me. Yeah, thank you, thanks everybody. Got the blue text. I didn't know that was like a thing until somebody was like, you're blue. I'm like, I think I'm white, but okay. So with Apple, there's an identity associated with it, right? Whether or not you know that explicitly and you're like, oh, I'm buying this because I want to connect in some way with the Apple brand, it says something about you. How many people with a PC have a shit ton of stickers on the back of it? Not that many. CJ, get the fuck out of here. Not that many, right? But everybody has an Apple. It's like you're putting your stickers on there. It says something about you. There's so much more connection to the brand because of the experience you have with them. It says something about your style, about the kind of person that you are, about the fact that you care about certain things. And if you walk into an Apple store compared to a Best Buy, significant difference, right? Now, Best Buy is agnostic. They also sell Apple, but they kind of sell everything. So the experience is watered down. It has to be just standardized across the board. You walk into an Apple store, which, again, first time for me walking in, it was a whole different experience. It's like, oh my God, okay, I kind of get why people are into this now. There's so much more you're able to do when you differentiate the fact from what you sell to who you serve and how you do it. What you do and how you do it are totally different things. How you do it says so much more about who you are as a brand, and that's what matters. But does it work? Does it really, really work to double down on this? How many of you knew exactly what we're going to be talking about today? Raise your hand if you knew what you're coming here for exactly.
I didn't know.
But you're here. Somebody tell me why they showed up still. We'll come back to that.
Because one of my besties told me to.
Yeah. That's it. You came here because you trusted, exactly. You trusted that there was going to be something valuable. You basically, a lot of you took referrals from somebody. And I think I know about half of you guys, a couple of people that will have to meet in the end, and I appreciate you showing up. The fact that you showed up proves the fact that you didn't know why you were showing up. You knew there was going to be value. You trusted the people that told you to come here. And hopefully you were excited to come and you thought, all right, cool, this is going to be something new. I'll learn something. That is kind of the epitome of the brand that people like CJ and Zach have built that led to that trust with you showing up here today. So now we're going to dive in and teach you a little bit more about how to start doing that for yourself.
So I'm Mike. I just want to take one quick second because I didn't get to talk at the beginning. I just want to take one quick second, first of all, to thank everybody for coming. This is like months worth of spitting ideas around and like trying to think how can we actually make like a really impactful contribution to the community that we love. Joe and I haven't been in Austin terribly long, but you know, it's an awesome opportunity to get to connect with every one of you and just to start the conversation about how we can all start to level up together. And CJ, thanks so much for providing the space. Zach, thanks so much just for everything you do, man. Just inspiring the crap out of all of us. I was super hyped after he just said his little 2 cents right there. But yeah, so honestly, this conversation, so Joe and I kind of by the way we make money is email marketing. And that's like a very easy like nugget to just pass on to somebody. Hey, what do you do? We do email marketing. But that's like just the beginning. So always it's just like, oh, I'm interested in email marketing. I need help with that. And we just like, all right, we're hooked. Like now you're hooked. This is perfect. This conversation, when we started spitballing ideas, like what is it that we want to talk about today? What kind of contribution do we like want to open up with our first Thrive Thursday? We were like, oh, email marketing, that makes sense. That's what we do. And then we kind of started replaying all the conversations with the different entrepreneurs that we've met in town and just through our own experience on our own entrepreneurial journeys and realized, man, so many people, every time we say, hey, we're email marketers, everybody lights up. Oh my gosh, I need help with that. Please help me. And I'm like, we can help you with that, but the thread of continuity among all the entrepreneurs that we have actually, small business owners that we've worked with and communicated with is like, that's just they know they need email marketing, but that's kind of like the symptom of a much deeper cause or a much deeper, just a cause. Like, so we've started to really kind of zero in on what is that? Like, what's missing? Why is it that so many people are like trying to dump money into marketing, into advertising, into just communicating with their audience and not having success? And what it always comes back to is they kind of skipped a few steps of the foundation of building a business, right? And everybody here, I'm sure, is cool. Doesn't apply to you guys. But one of the things that we've noticed is having conversations with your audience, having conversations with your potential customers. This is a crucial step that so many people overlook. So this is kind of, I'm going to skip through a few slides here just super quick just to kind of make a point, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. But the biggest mistake, and this is a little bit presumptuous, again, I'm sure everybody here is cool, but you're making it, okay? Build it and they will come. We've all heard the movie. Build it and they will come. Guess what? Doesn't work. So what do we say about that? Fuck the Field of Dreams. Because that's
a group.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams. Thank you.
Capital F, everybody. Capital F. Not a baseball guy. Not a baseball guy. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, a Cuban up here. It hurts. Yeah. Yeah. So why this? Why such a strong sentiment against such a beloved movie? It's because so many business owners that we've met with just say, hey, I know that there's a market out there for a specific product or to serve a specific population or to solve a specific problem, and then they just invest a ton of time, a ton of resources, a ton of energy into building a product that has no proof behind it, that nobody has proven. CJ, what are my 2 favorite words? Come through for me, bro.
Something about. Prove it. I know what it is.
Thank you.
Prove it. Ain't good.
Prove it, baby. Prove it. This is like where, when Joe and I have like met with anybody, it always comes back to these 2 words, prove it. I have a business. I know there's a market. I know that my product or my service solves a specific pain point or problem. Prove it. And most people can't. It's like glitch in the matrix. That's kind of where it stops. They're like, oh God, what's happening? But proving it is like what it comes down to. Having conversations with your customers, having conversations with your clients, doing surveys, like understanding the way people articulate their problems. That's a huge part of it, right? Proving it is one of the most, if not the most foundational step of actually starting a business. and beginning to then develop the brand that Joe was talking about. But it starts with proving it.
So what that means when you say prove it is every assumption you're making in your business can be turned into a hypothesis. That's how you prove it. If you don't have a way to measure it, you don't have a way to prove if it's true. So many people enter into business with the assumption that, well, if I come with good intentions and I work really hard, then it's all going to come together. It does not work that way. And one thing that we talk about all the time that we hate is the idea of survivorship bias. Does anybody know what survivorship bias is? It means you only see the people who made it. So when you have someone at the top saying, just follow your passion, that's all you got to do. Follow your passion, it's going to work out. And then beneath them is 1,000 people that did that and went nowhere. Businesses aren't built on passion, they're built on solving a problem. And if you can wrap your passion into solving that problem, that's awesome. That's where you really actually make an impact. But you can't just build something and assume, look at this awesome, beautiful little thing that I built, and people are going to want it, and they're going to pay for it, and I'm going to have a business out of it. It won't work that way. Business can be one of the best growth opportunities you're ever going to have as an individual because you have to get over the idea that just positive intentions are going to get you anywhere. The world doesn't work that way. You actually have to go out and be impactful in some form or fashion. Even those commodity brands are making an impact. They're just not doing it in a relational way. They're doing it as a commodity. We're making it cheap, convenient, that's great, that solves a problem, people will pay for that. We choose the other side. But you still have to solve that problem. And you can be passionate about it, but do not forget that it's always, always better to build something together. And I don't mean just with other entrepreneurs, I mean with the people you're trying to serve or the problem that you're trying to solve. You don't have to have the answers. There's a quote by Steve Blank, I think it's Steve Blank. It says, none of the answers are in the building. You have to get out there and find the answer. That's why the lean methodology exists. The build, measure, learn loop. We rapidly iterate to figure out, okay, we think this is going to work. Let's build something. Let's test it. Measure it. What happened? Did it work? Yes. All right, then let's continue building on it. It didn't work? Okay, what went wrong? How can we change it? Try again. And that loop, you go through as quickly as possible. But you do that a lot quicker when you're getting feedback from the people you're trying to serve. All of this leads to a collaborative environment between you and the people that you're trying to be able to help. That does not position you as a commodity then. They're part of the brand. When people are part of building something, you feel attached to it. Have you ever been part of, whether it's a business or just a project or something, but you got brought in the early days and you're almost like a founding member? Him, like right now, literally. Yeah. You're more attached to it, right? Because like you are building it with them. You're collaborative with it. That's how you start and build evangelists with your brand. And that's what a brand needs. You have to have people that will evangelize your brand. They'll go out and tell everybody how amazing and how great you are. And that's by doubling down on this. People want to feel part of something. And the way you do that is by focusing on transformations. That's the business that you're in. If you want to build relationships, if you want to actually have a lasting impact, don't just think about what can I sell, how can I make money. Focus on the value first. If you create an incredible amount of value, you will get paid for it. That's not the hard part. The hard part is when people start with, okay, I'm gonna put together a membership site and I'm gonna post content and we'll do $35 a month and then I can upsell them into this. Who the fuck said they wanted that? Did they say they wanted that? Is that solving the problem for them? Or is that just a great business model for you if it worked? Start nailing it on the transformations and then you can choose your business model. You can get way more flexible, find the people where that format, that delivery actually fits their needs, but you're never, ever, ever going to be able to actually generate value if the first place that you go is just thinking about extracting value. Create it first, and then you'll get the runoff, because you will always create more value for your client or for your customer than they're paying you. That's the way that business works. If you're charging them $100 and they think it's only worth $50, they're not going to buy it. Even if it's intangible. A personal trainer, some people pay personal trainers thousands and thousands of dollars every month. And it's because that transformation for them is worth way more than that. But it's a transformation. And the only way you're able to create transformations, the only way that you're able to engage those people is to know your crew, your tribe, your people. When you know them better than they know themselves, they will trust you for everything. They need to feel like you're reading their diary. I promise you, if you can do that, you don't have to sell anything. You're not in the business of convincing people. If you're trying to convince people, you're in the wrong business. People should see the value so clearly in what you do because you've communicated to them and they know, oh shit, this is my people. They're the ones that can solve this problem. Then you just offer it. You invite them in. Marketing should be pushing away the wrong people just as much as it invites in the right people. I wasn't trying to punch the wall. Just added emphasis. But most people think that marketing is trying to convince people to come into the brand and buy stuff. No, come in, it's great. This helps everybody. We've got this great product here. It's going to help you. It's going to help you. That's not what compelling marketing is. Compelling marketing is saying, look at what we're doing over here. People like you are getting great results. You want to come in and join us? That's compelling. And that's where you have to understand the way they word their problem, the emotions, everything that they're feeling, exactly in the way that they would express it, not the way you would express it. If you're a personal trainer and somebody came in and they said, I want a toned tummy, that's what I want to get. And you're like, we're going to get that six pack, you're going to be shredded. Like, that's not what they said. Even if it means the same thing ultimately, that's not the words they used, which means it doesn't represent the same value to them. We were talking about this yesterday with someone. It says, first you got to sell them what they want and then give them what they need, right? You sell them what they want by speaking in the language they use. Then when you get behind the scenes, you're able to help them on a whole nother level. This isn't just theoretical. There's tons and tons of data to show how impactful it is when you can actually speak to your customers the way they want to be spoken to. You guys probably resonate with this even in your own lives. Personally relevant branded content draws you so much more into the brand. If you just get those email blasts where it's like, okay, I'm a man, I'm getting like maternity pants like showing up from some brand, like why? That's so easy to filter that out. Don't send me that. Or even if it's just different stages of the journey, right? There's segments, there's different groups of people you talk to, and those people are at different stages in the journey. Take the time to get to know that from me. If you do, I'm gonna think a lot more highly of you because everything you send me is relevant. Makes me feel like you get me. And I'm not seeing all the other stuff that is a distraction. Person relevant content leads to more purchase behavior. Go figure. This is why people dump so much money into retargeting ads. Oh, you're interested in this? Well, boom, check this out. Don't forget it. They're not just showing you random ads for something in the business. They know this is what you're interested in. Let's put that in front of you as much as we possibly can. And when it comes to actually engaging with you and your communication, 75% people are so much more likely to open emails that are personalized. And I don't just mean, hey, Joe, that's not personalization. Please, God, don't think that's personalization. It's not, okay? Personalization is, oh, we know that you're interested in building an independent business that gives you freedom. That's what thing you're interested in. It's not about growing some VC-backed company. We could maybe help those people too, but I'm not going to talk to them the same way as this person. So that's the messaging I'm going to put in front of you. You can get so much better engagement. You're going to get far more people deciding to spend money to engage with you, and they're going to feel exponentially more positive about you. That's easy to do when you understand who you're talking to.
Great segue, man.
Just repeat it.
Yeah. Know who you're talking to. This is, again, going back to what I was talking about before, like being very clear, engaging with the customers that you're trying to serve, and then understanding how do they describe their pain points? How do they describe the issues that they face? I heard a podcast, I was listening to a podcast not too long ago from the CEO of Right Message. If you guys haven't heard of Right Message, it's like just a very high touch personalization platform that allows you to customize text on your website based on what they know about like who's landing on the site. So if you're a developer, you might have like customized text for that. And if you're a marketer, they might change like literally in real time the text on a website or like on a blog article even. It's crazy. But what he was saying was that he was doing like among a variety of split tests when he was still developing this product, he realized that he had a lot of developers come to his website and then also marketers come to the website. And what he found was that his conversions, when he knew who this person was, this is a marketer, He knew that the word, I might have this backwards, so forgive me, but he knew that the word rates, when describing like the pricing, the word rates resonated way more, whereas the developers prefer the word fees. Who would have thought? But it's subtle differences like this that can actually really start to move the needle, again, once you really understand who it is that you're speaking to. And that's honestly like one of the most intimidating like propositions that I could offer a business owner is like go out and speak to the people that you serve and start to consolidate all of the ideas into specific groups, into like, we call them avatars, right? Personas, buyer personas, if you've heard of that. Once you start to really categorize who these people are and envision like, oh, this is like CJ, I'm speaking to CJ. He is like the personification of the specific avatar that is drawn to my business. Okay, now the messaging becomes way easier. Now I'm just, CJ's the homie. I'm just talking to him. What's up, CJ? You know? So starting to really get a good understanding of who it is that you're speaking to is of the supreme importance, okay? And the other thing too, what is your business? Like who are you trying to serve? So there's two roads here, obviously. People and problems. Are you trying to solve a problem and then finding the people who have that problem? Or are you starting with the people? I want to serve this type of person. What are the problems that they have, right? Some examples. Problems. First-time home buyers don't know what the hell they're doing. Let's create content. Let's create a platform to help educate them so we can help them on their journey, right? That's a problem. Then you find the people. People. Females, women, are not empowered or do not have the information available to them to become financially independent, right? That's a person. Now let's what problems do they have and how can we help them solve them? So there's a variety of, there's two approaches to this, right? Do you serve people or do you solve problems? And that's kind of, you know, that's the way the way that the communication starts, and then you kind of just build from there. So think of your ideal customer. And again, this is where, like, if I could shake every business owner, it's because everybody starts with the most pure intentions, great, solid heart of gold, and they want to help everybody. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make, because as the classic marketing cliche goes, when you try to speak to everyone, you speak to no one, right? The ideal situation in marketing, this is my opinion, the ideal situation in marketing is to get one person to say, holy crap, you guys like ever land on like a new website and they have like the little video with the jingle, and there's like the guy from the infomercial who's like super stressed out and like, oh my God, I'm like going crazy, whatever. He's like jumbling over his paperwork or whatever. That video, if you guys have ever had the pleasure or the good luck to watch one of those videos, like, oh, this is my product, and been able to resonate with the video so much, like, oh my gosh, that's me. That is literally my problem. And after watching this video, I am 100% sure that this product, whatever it is going to solve it for me. Has that ever happened to anyone? A couple people? Sure. I promise you that first of all is probably the result of like a lot of trial and error. But if you were to show that same video, one that like super resonated with you, and you show it to one of your friends, it's probably not going to have the same effect, not the same impact. That's the point. Is that so many business owners try to fix everyone's problems, and they might have the ability to do so, but they can't communicate it effectively. One of my biggest gripes, Joe and I came from the fitness industry, and if you're in the fitness industry, there's like the tribe, and everybody else is Gen Pop, right? That's kind of like the jargon for it, the terminology for it. Gen Pop is not a person, right? It could be a high school kid trying to put on some muscle because kids make fun of him that he's too skinny, or it could be a 60-year-old person trying to improve their quality of life by gaining some strength, something like that. You wouldn't speak to those two. If you had them both in front of you and you were trying to sell them on your personal training, you wouldn't speak to them the same way. But that's kind of like one of the mistakes that we keep seeing is like, wow, we're trying to communicate to this giant group of people the same exact way. It doesn't work that way. If you were to just nail down, niche down, this is the one person that I solve the problems for. That's not saying that that's the only person you can actually serve. It's just the one person you're communicating to. And once you begin to solve the problem for them, once you get the results, once you get the testimonials, and your business begins to evolve, then the net of the people that will actually be attracted to your brand will eventually and inevitably grow. But it starts with one person. You can't try to help and solve everyone's problems. You start with one person, and like literally picture, like create an avatar. Who is this person? And then every time you write an email, every time you write a blog post or the copy on a sales page, you're writing it to that person because you want someone to really resonate with you, and then the rest follows after that. So, this is literally kind of going back to the communication. Like, how do they describe? It's not just like what am I trying to solve, but how do they describe the thing I'm trying to help them solve? Does that make sense? Messaging, the specific words, the specific emotionality of it all matters, because that's the way. If I were to say I can solve this one problem, tell me all your problems, and I'll solve all of them for you, you're gonna be like, wow, I feel special. This is for me. But if I'm like, I can solve your problem and your problem and your problem, everyone's problems I'm solving, then it just kind of gets watered down and it's not as effective. So what we want to do, and this is really just to get I'm not the kind of person that can sit in front of a lecture and just be like, oh yeah, this is great, and just keep listening to it. I think we learn better through experience and conversation amongst all of us. So we would like to start a conversation about, whoever wants to chime in, start talking about who it is that you or your business serves, what problem are you trying to fix, and have you had any issues with the communication to that person or to that problem that you're trying to solve? Is there anything that feels unclear? Do you have any feedback about, have you gotten any feedback about I feel like my message isn't really resonating. Every time I send out an email, I get a ton of unsubscribes. Something like that. We just want to get the conversation going and then just kind of, be able to provide value to everybody here.